What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's going on, man? It has been long overdue. Man, the band is back. The two-man band is back, as I said on Twitter today. And man, I mean, you could call us whatever. You Peaches and Herb. We could be uh, Alberta Costello. I mean, I could be, we just go solo, and I could be Shaft, and Don could be Columbo. However you want to do it or whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But we are back, man. It's been long overdue, and I'm happy to have my main man back with me, man, so we could do the dev and the gamer. We got a couple of topics that we want to dust off and talk about. I mean, some new things just jumped off, and I know that Don is warmed up and ready to go because he was just coming from Xbox Nation with crap and all them. So good show, by the way. And man, what's going on?
Well, to clarify, I wasn't on Xbox Nation this week, but did stop by, chatted with those guys, all that good stuff. So, but yeah, I'm ready to go. We've been waiting to get this up and going, and me and Mega, well, we don't coordinate the best when it comes to schedules and times. So
no, we are busy gentlemen, and it's just it is what it is, man. I mean, we will continue to do the show as frequently as we can. I mean, it's just this time it was just a long stint, but like I said, it's great to be back. So let's just get started, man. Let's talk about the Forza demo. It came out today. I just got finished playing a little bit of it, and man, matter of fact, I'm finna share something on Twitter. Just a little beginning of the race or whatever. But I've been playing it for the last almost 2 hours. It's fantastic, but I just want to get your thoughts on it. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you got a chance to get your hands on it, have you?
Yeah, I got a chance to play with all sorts of different modes with my new television I had with it, and all the different modes on the game, because they have the performance oriented mode and the fidelity mode and all that sort of stuff. So it's good. I mean, I still have questions on the demo. They make it sound like you get to play other seasons in the demo.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I've gotten to this one part where it says, "Hey, look, you got to increase your winning percentage so you can go to autumn, but you have to wait for it." Well, I got to the point where it says you can go to autumn, but for some reason it says you still have to qualify. So I don't know if that's if you can get to autumn in the game yet. I don't know. I still got to beat a couple of races.
I don't know. This is what I don't know, if it's just one season or if they're going to give you all 4 seasons in the demo, where they kind of works like on that week-to-week basis, like the actual game.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm looking at So Shady. What's going on, Shady and Infamous? What's happening, guys? Yeah, So Shady said it's just this one season. That's kind of like what I thought, but I know I was going to keep playing and try to see if I could get to the next season. But for a demo, it's opened up pretty good. I mean, because I've beaten all the stunts, and then I'm looking in that once I beat that second stunt and the rally races and the street race, then it opened up some more things to where you could do big jumps, and then this point you could do where you could do the light go against the speedometer. And there was something else that I didn't get a chance. Oh, yeah, I think it was photo mode. I think they got a couple of photo mode areas that you could go to. So it's pretty extensive, but I tell you that the map is absolutely huge. It is super massive. I was just thinking that one area where you start at is kind of like where it is, but then if you pan up, you see like a whole nother city.
So were you able to pan up? Because I was, for whatever reason, it wouldn't let me go past a certain area on the map. I can tell there was stuff up there because there was obviously a direct road. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That led up there. So it looked like there was more to explore, but obviously it closed off from the demo.
Yeah. Well, I think it is closed off, but I mean, I agree with Shady. I thought because at E3 they gave the demo to where, and I thought it was going to be the same demo because once the game first starts, it's actually what the demo was at E3, and then it changed up. It opened up to where you had a last race, and then once you beat that race, then the demo was over at E3.
Gotcha.
But here they increased it by adding like all this other extra with picking these other little cars and these different sets of cars, and then just doing the stunt driving and all that. And it's kind of funny because it's kind of doing a little story mode. So I don't know if this is kind of a prelude of them trying to do stuff to show their little skills on open world stuff or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of cool, but it's real colorful. It's really bright, and I mean that's just a testament of just what Playground Games could do with this game, man. It looks beautiful.
Well, they implement HDR, I think, better than most developers out there so far.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to show it off, and this is their second iteration of doing that. So they're ahead of the curve with their first games, Horizon 3, I should say. And I would say this one, they're taking it up a whole nother level, and you only get to see a part of it. Like, once you hit that, what is it, that little Fiesta rally car that you have at the beginning,
mm-hmm.
where you're going through the mud, that thing is like, it's got literally the color palette of the inside of a bag of tropical Skittles, right?
Right.
But that car pops. I mean, it's probably the best example of like showing the HDR and what it can do. It's pretty awesome. But
yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is obviously a demo. It's not the final game, all that sort of stuff. And I understand that it's important to preface that when we talk about these things. But I noticed the 60 frames per second mode wasn't the most polished experience. It had some draw distance issues, a lot of popping when I was playing it,
mm-hmm.
and it was dropping frames. So, hopefully for those guys that really want that, that they're able to kind of clean that up a bit. And it's just what happens when you offer options. There's always going to be one mode where they devote all the time and effort because that's what the game is built around. And the other is kind of a secondary sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like almost like the 60 frames per second option was a little bit rushed at launch. But, then again, that's all based on a demo. It's not final code. There can be a lot of X factors when it comes down to that stuff. But overall, the game, I'm excited. If I wasn't excited for Forza Horizon 4, I would have bought it anyways because of this demo. So, kudos to them. So,
yeah, well, big kudos to them, and kudos to the people in the chat, man. You know what? Let me be country. I'm going to try to say your first name. Shingo? I don't know, but I know your last name is Elite, and he sat there and says, "Thanks for the podcast, K Mega and Don." No doubt about it, man. We appreciate you guys coming through and checking us out. And especially since we're so random of when we pop in and when we do a show, you know what I'm saying, for just to see people just pop in and listen to us while we're live, man, it's dope, man. It's really cool. We really do appreciate you guys' support. And no doubt, Shady, we definitely, I mean, if I get any more codes to for Black Ops 4, I'll definitely pass them on. There was one guy, I had no idea he was a YouTuber. He just came out and he was like, "Hey, man, how much for the codes?" And I was like, "I'm not charging any money, man. We're all gamers here, man. I mean, if you need a code, I got you."
Free code, that's
yeah. But
right.
Yeah, and then when I looked and he says, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And so I said, "Man, the only thing I ask you to do is just shout me out, man. That's it." And so he shouted me out. That's when I seen him. I was like, "Oh, this dude is a big time YouTuber. That's crazy!" Like, wow, he's some streamer or whatever. It was just cool though. So, but it's just kind of shows what really goes on behind closed doors when you're trying to communicate with certain people and some of the things that you got to do. That's so unfortunate. Like, I mean, you really have to pay money to try to get a code. That's bullshit to me.
Man, it's a dog eat dog world, right? But there's certain, I think there are certain things that should bring people together, and it shouldn't be about those same personal gains. And I think gaming's one of those, right? Like, that's something we can all share and have a good time. And I'm going to be getting paid for my stuff, so don't get me wrong, but free code's a free code, man. You don't charge people for that.
Right.
I understand a complete game, or you bought a hard copy and you spend your $60 and you're over it and you want to recuperate a little bit of cost. I can't even blame people like that. Like, I come from the development background, but when it's free stuff, man, just spread the love. I mean, that's the reason why they create those codes in the first place, to generate hype and the excitement. Not so other gamers can profit off other gamers. It's not the intent there. So
no, yeah, absolutely, and that's just like what I told him. And Mr. Kima, if I come up on another code, I promise I'll pass it on to whoever. Man, I don't have any more. I got there was somebody that was kind enough that that said, hey man, I got like 5 extra codes. You know, if you want them, I got them. I said, cool. And he says, well, they're for the PlayStation 4. Like it was in parentheses. Like, man, I don't care if it's for you know, a cell phone, man. A free code is a free code.
Well, you gotta have the platform, right? So I mean,
right. You know,
that perspective. Well, here's the other thing too: is like gamers get a really bad rap because they're a passion group, right? So that passion sometimes can manifest itself in probably not the most thought out words and in criticisms, right? But people, you have to remember, they're also passionate and they're also kind of very giving, right? I mean, that is something that's another side of the gamers that just doesn't get talked a whole lot about. And it's not like Mega is alone on this. And there are times where I've been generous to other people, and I wanted to keep it on the down low because it's not about getting praise or anything like that. It's just about helping out a fellow gamer and kind of breaking down those walls. So I'm excited that you're able to help someone out. Did you get a chance to play out blackout mode?
I tried it and I played it once, and me and this one guy started punching each other. I was over there putting hands on him. I was over here feeling like I was Holyfield or maybe some Mike Tyson because he was running from me, and the next thing you know, we both got shot because somebody found a gun. And I was like, oh man. So I stopped it.
Explain how the mode works to me, because I'm not a Call of Duty guy. I'm really not. I pick one up every 2 or 3 years. This mode does not excite me in any sort of way. I know people are excited. Call of Duty is not going to fall off the face of the planet. When it does, no one's going to see it happen. So, but my question is, how does the mode work in the confines of Call of Duty?
Well, it's its own separate entity. It's just like PUBG, but it's Call of Duty. And
so they just drop you in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, you come in off of different instead of just one plane, you come in off of these helicopters and choppers, little small choppers, and it's like just all these individuals you see these choppers just going in the air. Then you jump out in a squirrel suit, which is dope. So
that is pretty cool.
Yeah, and everybody jumps out in these squirrel suits, and then they find a destination where they want to go to, just like PUBG. And I guess Fortnite. Yeah, and you land with no weapons. And it is PUBG and Fortnite. All in all, I mean, when they say that it's this battle royale mode, it is the battle royale mode. But the one thing where I made a video talking about this, it was basically where I think where Call of Duty can really thrive on this is because it looks realistic, plus the fact of the feel of COD. COD is still one of the best feeling shooters that
so the mechanics are still traditional COD.
It's still traditional COD.
They'll play with some of the values of how quick you'll pull up a gun, or your aiming speed, or reload speed, or your fire rate and the damage and all that stuff. They'll play with all those numbers, but it still feels like COD. Like if someone didn't introduce you to it, you would just assume it's COD. I'm assuming.
No, I mean, yeah, just
based on feel.
Yeah, just by look and feel, absolutely, yeah. But when you go in and like I said, I only played it once. I'm going to definitely go back because it's until the demo is until the 17th, or the beta, I should say, it's until the 17th. So you get out there, and what 108 Dragons was telling me is that you get your gun. Then when you get your gun, and then I should let me back up. Okay, before you even get into the point to where you get into the little squirrel suits and fly down, it starts you off kind of like in an area like PUBG does, kind of like when everybody's all together, and you can go around and look and see where random guns and equipment and all that is around in this certain area. Now, it did change once we got into those helicopters, but I thought that was kind of cool that you could survey the area, kind of look at what you can do. And then one thing that 108 told me is that once you get your weapons, where it's different from PUBG, because I've never played Fortnite, so I'm just going up there. I guess Fortnite's kind of the same way, but instead of like going through your menu and trying to get everything connected, it's just balls to the wall. You get it, boom, 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 boom. It automatically puts itself together, unless you picked up another weapon and you had that gun, and then you can go to the menu and you could place it there, and you could equip it that way. But it's seamless, it's quick, it's easy, and that's why I think that this could actually be COD's new home. You know what I'm saying? I think this could be their new beginning on getting back I mean, because they've still been on top of it. But the fact of like everybody's been seeing like COD's numbers has been on a decline. I think this is where they could get back on top and stay up there for a really long time, and it could definitely hurt PUBG and Fortnite.
And you think it's gonna bite into their dinner? Is that what you're thinking?
I definitely do. Yeah, because I mean,
it's bite into their chicken dinner.
Yes, it's going to bite into their chicken dinner because of the fact that if for the first time in like, well, I think it's about 3 or 4 years that COD is actually trended better than Battlefield. Now, I know that the one reason because of all the other controversies with Battlefield, but Battlefield haven't even showed their version of
but that doesn't always relate to sales, though. That's right, because Call of Duty's always done better than Battlefield, regardless of the trending sort of thing. So, I mean, it gives you a window, but it doesn't always. It's a murky crystal ball at best, right? But yeah, I mean, cool. I'm excited for. I've always said this. If it's a game that I'm not personally interested in, and that even goes with like how I feel about Destiny right now. Like, I'm excited for people to play games if that's the type of game they want to play and they enjoy it. As far as that goes, that's why I'm kind of interested to see where it goes from there. It's going to be interesting to see how big this pie of Battle Royale is, right? Because as far as we know, the pie is still growing. So you got a pretty good split between Fortnite and PUBG, right? But no one's really taken a slice of this pie is because we keep seeing growing. We've seen PUBG numbers growing. We've seen Fortnite numbers are growing. So with COD, we know people are buying the game, but we don't know how many people are playing this particular mode, and that's the reason why they're buying the game. So it's going to be interesting to see where that kind of comes from. I think it gives you that. I think Fortnite is a much more polished experience than PUBG. If you play them both, you can really feel it. But if you look at if you look at Call of Duty, it's been the same basic mechanics since the early 360 PlayStation 3 and 360 generation, right? So those mechanics have been polished and refined over the years, and so they're not starting from ground one.
Right, and that's just the situation here. I mean, like PUBG and Fortnite, they have a strong audience, but the thing of it is that you got these already established franchises jumping into this new realm. How well will it be received? I mean, I can already see right now, like I said, with COD, it just seems like it's a good, perfect niche for them, especially from hearing the rumors that it's going to be the 80 to 100 players at one time. That is insane.
So is it one life, one kill?
Yes, one life, one kill. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are you watching afterwards? What's going on?
You can spectate, or you could just back out. And that was the thing that like it pissed me off because I was over there whooping that dude down, beating him down. He was running from me because I was punching him, because I had like about 4 or 5 punches on him. I'm like, why this dude ain't down yet, right? And so then he just wanted to come out and start fighting. And we was right in front of this window, and the next and then we were down. So it gave you an option to spectate and to look around what was going on. And I should have done it, but I was frustrated and I just backed
you just want to get back in.
Yeah, I just backed out and I just cut off the PlayStation and went on back to the Xbox. But I mean it was cool for the thing that I seen. And so for what 108, and I seen his stream for a little bit while I was at work for maybe about 10 minutes and it looked fun. So yeah, I mean it's got potential. I was so like this is horrible to now is like, you know what? COD might have something on their hands. We'll just wait to see.
Do you think it's going to grow the pie, or you think it's going to cut into the pie?
I think it's going both. I think that it's going to.
Which side do you think it's going to lean more towards? I mean, and then again, I'm not going to make fun of you if you commit to one. I'm just kind of curious what your outlook is.
I mean, for me, I think that this will definitely cut into Fortnite and PUBG's space. Because it's COD for one.
So you think it's starting to peter out that mode, far as the size of people that are interested in it?
Well, no. I think that there's so many other people that really like for instance, I think that this is where Fortnite's going to have. They're still going to be relevant. It's not like that they're going to go away. But where I think that for it's cool for the kids for Fortnite, but for the adults that's been playing Fortnite and like that type of mode and how smooth it feels, when you play COD and it's more realistic, and you're like, oh, well, COD's got this mode. I don't even care about what Fortnite's doing over here. I mean, I think that Fortnite will be more of that popular thing for the younger crowd.
You see, there's going to be like a loyalty to one or the other. You don't think there's going to be a lot of crossover?
There's always loyalty. I mean, there's always some
But
form of
this
loyalty.
is something I'm from the outside looking in, right? And
right.
This is not a game mode that I'm making in my game or anything like that. But I'm always interested in what's going on in the business and seeing what you guys are. I'm giving you guys always a window to what's going on, right? There's a pie. The pie is growing. The question is, how big is that pie going to get? And if it's going to cut into that. And that's how they look at it business-wise with this new mode when you have these other companies kind of, throwing their hat in the ring. I mean, in Battlefield's going to be in this ring as well, right? With what they call the Ring of Fire or whatever.
Right. But you know what? I just don't. I think it's going to be a good mode. I think it's something to expand the Battlefield space, but I don't think it's going to gravitate as much as it will for COD players. Right. That's the thing. That's my take on it. I could be completely wrong on everything, but I'm not saying again that it's going to destroy Fortnite. I think it's just going to take away a certain demographic, and PUBG could be the one to be the most in trouble because of the issues. Even though it's running a lot better, it's playing well, it looks better, but it still is not nowhere near as smooth as what COD or what Battlefield will be.
Yeah, well, and it's not nearly as smooth as Fortnite. And so,
right, too. Yes.
Here's the thing: is people did have fun a lot of that, but there's certain games that are fun but also frustrating. And every time I'm playing PUBG with certain people, some of the biggest fans, I can tell half the time they were frustrated with the game. That's the reason why I don't play a lot of preview games, because I don't want to have a tainted experience going into it. You pull from good memories, but you also pull from bad memories. I mean, we all own Xboxes at launch, so I was listening to Xbox Nation. They were talking about the dashboard when it was first coming out, and it's like,
oh Jesus, yeah.
I remember the launch dashboards like it was yesterday, and it wasn't good. Like, retrospectively, like, there's nothing to defend there. It just really wasn't up to the par of what Microsoft can do, and it did weigh into how I felt about the platform. I still like the platform; it's still my favorite platform. But I would have liked it a lot more if it wasn't like that, right?
Right.
So, and that's what I think. That's what PUBG faces. I mean, it's kind of like what Destiny faces too, going forward with these games as a service games, kind of MMO like games with Anthem and what it was the new Ubisoft game. I can't remember. It's the sequel. The Ubisoft third-person shooter MMO had the Dark Zone and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, the Division. Yeah.
Division. So Division 2. So obviously those are going to cut into Destiny. But the problem Destiny has is people have bad experiences with that game. They have good ones, but they also have bad ones.
Right.
And so that's where certain games can come in, and this is kind of relates to COD and what they're doing, is you as a developer, you can look at your own mistakes you're doing internally in a studio before you launch something, but you can also look what's out there in the ether and what the public's responding to with games that are similar to yours. And trust me, they've looked at PUBG, they looked at Fortnite, and they've been watching them closely. I mean, Activision is $1 billion company for a reason. So realistically, they've been watching them, and so they don't want to make those mistakes. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Anthem as well, where they'll make their own set of mistakes. They just will be different than Destiny's, but they have the opportunity to kind of come in where these games as a service games have maybe faltered a little bit, and not have those bitter feelings. So it's all interesting. I like watching where it's kind of going. It's always exciting to get a new game mode that gets us to play games slightly differently. And I don't think we've barely even tapped into what the controller can do. That's kind of where we're at right now.
Right. No, I totally agree. And it's even right now when we're already talking about the new hardware that's potentially going to be coming with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Scarlet. we still have a lot more juice in the consoles that we own right now.
We have a lot more juice in the base
a
consoles.
Lot. That's what I'm saying, right? Yeah, like
people don't realize. They have no clue because we're so fixated on what was it, native resolution, so pixel counting, right?
Right.
Which is only one aspect of graphics that does make a difference. But there's more to it. So like that's the beauty when I look at these iteration or the rumor of iteration consoles keep going forward. At least Microsoft has hinted way more heavily at that, and Sony, we'll see where they're going with that. But the beauty of that is when you have these more powerful consoles, the pressure's on their shoulders to have the higher frame rates and the higher resolutions. Now you're starting to see the S and the PlayStation 4, those native resolutions are starting to drop, and no one cares because the people that buy those games don't care. That's just how it goes. So it's, I don't know, all this stuff is interesting.
It is. Well, I mean, just look at how with Spider-Man, right? I mean, for everything for what people was dogging out Sea of Thieves for the cracking is lacking, which rightfully so. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I didn't dragon. I mean,
I never could defend that. I'm like, you could have finished the rest of the model under the water. You can go underwater. It's transparent. Like you could have done something there as somebody that creates models. Like there's no excuse for that one. So
that's not. That's just it. Laziness, or it's just the fact of you just. I don't know. I guess maybe they thought there would be more kids to play. I don't know. But
I don't know what the excuse is. Is just like that thing wasn't ready for prime time. Just call it.
No. That's why they took it away. Hopefully they'll. I'm pretty sure that they'll bring them back, but they'll have it with a body this time. But the reason why I say that is that, or in just the case of State of Decay 2 and how buggy that game was. We're looking at Spider-Man, and like somebody showed, I forgot who showed me that clip today, and I posted on Twitter, and I was like,
which one? The boat one I sent you?
No, not the boat one. That was crazy. I didn't even. I was gonna send that one too, but I didn't get a chance to. But no, it was one where somebody posted. Looked like Spider-Man was on a spider web and he was ghost riding the whip, man. It was wild.
Was it the black suit, right? Like
he was in the
black widow looking suit.
He was in the black suit and he looked like he was talking to somebody, and then he just hopped off of the rails and just kind of floated off in the wind, and it was hilarious. Now, look, it's funny, but then again, I don't see the same energy coming from the same people that was giving all the hell to a game like Sea of Thieves, or for whatever, for the right reasons. I get that, but you got to have this. It's not just cute because the game has these bugs. You have to acknowledge it and say, you know what, that's funny, but then that's still lazy development, or they rushed it out too quick, or something. You have to call that stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. But the right amount of tone and context is important, right? If it's not about dogpiling and making people feel like crap about what they purchased or dev team, like that's not it. Asking for more, there's nothing wrong with doing that. There's a way to do it respectfully, and I want to see more of that. So, that's why I don't dogpile and do all the retweeting when I see glitches like that of any game, because all games got glitches. This is the harsh reality. If you ever see what they refer to as a bug report at most studios, there's some things that qualify for bugs that you'd be like, really, that's considered a bug? No, they reported it, so they look into it and then decide if something they need to address or they don't. It seems like a weird sort of cutscene animation bug. Like that's what keeps popping up on Spider-Man. As far as that goes, they should look into it. They should patch it. As a developer, you don't want to have stuff out there, your best work, shown off in the worst possible way. So, I mean, you gotta polish that stuff up and finish it up. And
the game's only been out a week.
Yeah, we can laugh at it. Yeah, we can laugh at it, but at the same token, I don't want to. I don't want that sort of stuff to be a butt of someone's joke. Like, let's acknowledge what it is. It's a bug. It's it's a polished experience that's missing from the game. And I would say if you're a PlayStation 4 guy, you would expect more. If you're an Xbox guy, you expect more. So is a PC guy. We all expect more from developers. And as somebody that creates content in that realm, I expect more out of myself as well. And I'm saying it's easy. but you're always striving for the best. And I think that's a group effort. It shouldn't be pinned against one another, if you know what I mean.
No, right, and that's the whole point of this conversation is like, look, I mean, look how we're talking about it. It is funny, but again, it should be addressed. And like you said, PlayStation fans should want the same type of wants and desires as they think that Xbox fans should want in their games. So it should be like a conversation of like, yeah, this is looking kind of foul right here. Yeah, it is funny, but it is what it is. And address the proper people to hopefully get it fixed. And like I said, the game has only been out for a week, and State of Decay 2 had to have that big patch because and everything was fine. And I think they did another big patch or another big patch not too long ago here. So I mean, it just takes time. I understand, but as long as the developers are doing what they're supposed to do to get the game to work and perform its best, and sometimes when they don't meet the deadline and they push the game out, these type of things happen. I mean, that's why I always stress that there is no perfect game out there. That's why when I see those 10s and things like that, it makes me cringe because
it does. It makes me not trust them.
Yeah, right? It makes me not trust them. Like that, you're following a path of just what's popular instead of what's really right. Because there is no perfect game.
Let me tell you from a developer's perspective. So when they release a game, no game is perfect in their own eyes. Mm-hmm. And even though they would appreciate a score that says a 10, they don't think of their own game as a 10. I have never met anyone in the industry that feels that way. They made a perfect game. I think I've met everyone that feels like they made a great game, even if it got mediocre reviews or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where things are at on something like that. So, I would say context is important. We're in the world of Twitter and hashtags and getting a jab in as quickly as we possibly can, but I want context. Okay, how often does this glitch come up? Is it ruining your experience? I want to know what's going on there, because you can make the same argument about what is it? I'm drawing a blank today. I've been a little bit tired, but
it's all right. It's all right.
What was the EA game? It was originally released on Xbox. It was Commander Shepard was in it and all that.
Oh, Andromeda, yeah.
Mass Effect Andromeda, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Had some glitches.
Yeah, it did.
But those glitches killed the game.
Yeah.
The way the community dogpiled on it. And I looked at, and I played Adrenaline, not a lot, and I played a little bit of Batman. I can say the glitches are pretty much on the same level, right?
Yes. Thank you.
And I mean, if I was going to draw a parallel right there, but one is obviously judged much, much higher. Exclusivity sometimes carries a little bit of weight with a game. And the other is, it's dogged on because people expected more out of that sequel, even though it was better technically than the previous ones in every single way. How it controls graphics. Yes, they had mess up face animations and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But if you go back to the original Mass Effects, if you start changing around the character's face, basically what they do to animate the character doesn't look great either. So when you start messing with like the way the face is made and not the default character, it always ends up like that. It's just kind of how it is. So you're almost better off just going with the default image on most RPGs like that. So
yeah, it was unfortunate. I mean, and the game was not bad. I mean, I played it. I don't know. I may put about maybe 10 hours. I mean, I would say 7 to 10 hours into it, and I liked the game, a lot. It's just that I don't get why people, look. I understand they killed it, the face animation, but I think more so what really put that game in a bad position was the fact that it didn't have anything to do with Shepard or anybody that was from the past so much. Even though I've seen, I forgot what the Krogan's name was. But I thought he was in there because I can remember. It's been a long time.
There was a Krogan, but it wasn't the Krogan.
Yeah, right? It wasn't the Krogan. Yeah, it was
so
from the past, but I can't remember.
It wasn't Rex or whatever.
It wasn't Rex. That's his name. Yeah, but it wasn't him in there. I think it was the other one, the one that was the hybrid that was born in a tube. I forget his name.
Oh, gotcha.
I think he was in there.
All that sort of stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah. But he did a little cameo. But that, I understand that people kind of wanted to get there, but this wanted to set its own story. And again, EA, it kind of it confused me because I've talked about how EA has confused me for a lot of their dealings here lately anyway, by getting rid of Visceral Games and all that. But to let the B team go out and try to make their own game and then and this is one of their best titles ever, and just kind of let the B team go and do it while they send the A team to work on another game, which I know Anthem looks amazing, but we're talking about Mass Effect.
In a lot of ways, how's that different than Call of Duty? You have 3 different studios working on Call of Duty now. One of those teams was the B team for the longest time. Now people argue which one they like better. And so I think what a lot of big publishers, what they like is once they have a formula that works, it's like a rubber stamp. And they want to be able to just rubber stamp those games out to the point where the rubber stamp doesn't work anymore. And then they ask, well, why is it going down in sales or whatever it may be? So I think what they looked at is the A team is the innovators, creating something new. And once you got the template, you can have this other staff because there's some staff that just wants to be told what to do. I've worked with certain artists. They're just like that. They're creative minds, but the same token, they just want instructions of what to do and then execute it. And some people, they like that struggle of creating something new that it hasn't been explored before. It referred to as like painting gold inside the game industry, where you're trying to find something new. You're trying to find your own gold, essentially, and your own claim to what the industry is. You're always looking for that. And some people are motivated that way. So sometimes it's just good to have those people in a certain studio and a different group in another. And, it didn't turn out well for them. I mean, I can admit that, but I also think the outcome wasn't quite 100% reflective of the quality of the product. I think the product was a much better product than what the outcome ended up being in that particular situation. So.
Yeah, no, that is true. Okay, but let's get on and talk about Tomb Raider. Well, we didn't even get to finish talking about Forza, so I mean, we just kind of just went left, but
yeah, that's what we do.
That's what we do. I mean, we actually do that when we're in the parties and stuff too. I mean, when you hanging around 100 and everything, you could definitely go left for conversations. Anyway, big shout out to my boy 100 and Intro Me Gaming, man. But back to Forza, like I guess I played the 60 frames per second mode. I don't know. I just jumped right in. The one thing that I did like on here is that they added some options to where you can have it driving the way that you normally do. Like, I don't like the lines. I don't want to be shown how to drive. I got this. So you can take that out, change the difficulty, make it more of a simulator racer instead of more of a hold your hand if you want to. I like that part, especially trying to show gamers out there that just kind of think that Horizon is more of that little kiddie type of racer. That look, it can be you could take the cosmetics off. Well, you could put it to where it could be cosmetic and the tires and the car. If it gets damaged too much, then your car is going to completely break down. So it's pretty crazy because if you run over a couple of rocks or something like that and it hits the wrong part of the tire, you're only going to be going 25 miles per hour. So it's crazy.
I like doing damage, but only cosmetic.
Yeah.
Because I actually hate, there's something about getting a scratch in your car or a dent in your car in a video game, and I don't know what it is for me. It drives me nuts. Like the ADD in me kicks in.
Really?
Yeah. And so I intentionally try not to rub paint with other drivers. It does motivate me to do that because there's something about winning the race and not seeing a single scratch in your car when it does those those trophy shots where it's panning around your vehicle. That's satisfying to me. So, So, I don't just in case, because sometimes the drivatars will smack you and you didn't do anything. You just happen to be there. So that's why I always do it on cosmetic on that particular thing. But I'm the type of guy, I turn off the steering stability and traction control. I think I leave ABS on, I leave it automatic. in regards to that. And what's nice is if you do it those ways, whatever you turn off as aids, it gives you a higher percentage of basically Forza bucks, right?
Right.
When you finish it. So yeah, you get your space bucks at the end, and you can buy more cars that way. So you're able to cash in. So if you want to increase your challenge, they reward you with that, which is awesome. And if not, you can continue to do it and continue to do other games and go from there. So
yeah, and I like that about Forza. Like, I mean, it touches on all aspects, and this is the thing where it trips me out because you have, of course, there's haters everywhere, but you know, the haters of Forza are like, oh, it's just there's other racers out there that's 10 times better. It's more similar project cars, blah blah. Okay, that's fine, right? But this is the thing. Every time that we see awards, who wins it? You know what I'm saying? For best racer. I mean, that you just got to look at it from that standpoint. I mean, look, there's all different types of racers out there, but Forza has held its own in a space that's at one point in time they had so much other competition out there. I mean, Need for Speed was at a pinnacle. It even breaks my heart sometimes to see where Need for Speed is right now compared to where they used to be. Also with GT is nothing what it used to be. And so like you got F1, you have the one game that didn't do very well on consoles, but it's really popular on the PC. I will not try to pronounce that name, but it's got this European name. I forgot what it's called. I know what it's called. I'm not going to try to pronounce it.
Well, here's the thing I don't get about racers, right? People always say, oh, they're just easy to show performance of a particular piece of hardware because it's a racer. They just automatically discredit it because it's a racer. Or they say, hey, who cares? It's just a racer. Racers have existed since the NES. I remember playing Rad Racer as a kid, right? Wow. Like, obviously, it's a franchise or a genre that's continued on, and it's grown with as technology has gotten better. We're able to do a lot more with it. So, racers is not a small category. It's a very big category.
Yeah. Sir X-Man has it up there as Assetto Corsa. Is that how you say that? I don't know.
I think so. I think so. Close to that.
Yeah, I know it's highly popular. I've even got it on my PC, but
that one's really popular on PC.
Yeah, I know it's huge on PC, but and I understand that it's really simulated. It's got a way more details and things like that, but to a lot of other gamers out there, a lot of people just want to get into the car and drive. And one thing about Forza that's amazing is that this is what tell you if a game is different than others. Because I was playing Onrush. I played the hell out of Forza 7, right? Well, I haven't played Forza 7 in months, and so I was playing Onrush. I've been playing. I'm trying to 100% complete Forza Horizon 2. I'm almost there, but anyway, I jumped back. And I was like, man, I want to try to get some gameplay for next, right? And so I started driving it, and I was spinning all over. I said, why is this car going crazy like this? What's wrong? And so I had to go into the settings, and I remembered at that time, like I had most of it on all simulated. I would drive.
It's not forgiving at all. You just
not forgiving, and I had to turn it back to what it, to the original to get the feel back again, and still was struggling. It was crazy, man. That's just comes to show, like, these games, these racers with Forza, they perform differently through each iteration, man. And I think that's a testament to the team that does a good job on perfecting the craft, man.
And there's a reason why Forza doesn't feel like any other racer out there. So one of the things that Forza does is it's all physics driven. The way the cars work and all that sort of stuff. So the refresh on the physics is substantially higher than the refresh rate of the visuals that you're seeing. So like say you're in 30 frames per second mode or 60 frames per second mode, I think it's over double what the refresh rate for 60 is. And so that's the reason why it feels so good. And that's why it can feel so good regardless of frame rate. Because the frame rate you're not reacting necessarily just to the frame rate, what you're visually seeing, but what it's physically touching in that world. And so that's kind of how Forza works. That's why that game feels so good. And they keep building on those on those models, right? So what the tire models are, how they calculate downforce and figure out all that sort of stuff. It continues to get refined and refined and refined in regards to that. So it feels like a real car, even though it's very arcadish. It feels grounded as far as that goes. And it really taps into the culture of people. Everyone's kind of my theory is everyone's really a car guy. You just have to find the right car that makes them the car guy, right? Or car gal, right?
Right.
And because for me, like I've never been into a lot of U.S. cars. And then I was introduced to a lot of, when I had to start traveling the world when I was racing mountain bikes, I would go over into Central Europe a lot and notice that the cars were a lot different, a lot of the small hatchbacks and stuff like that. So I started getting into the 4-cylinder, kind of the rally, the street versions of what they were used as rally cars over there, right? And, and then I became a car guy. Forza Motorsport helped me become a car guy. And didn't start that. And so that's the impact, Forza has. It really gets people into vehicles that may not necessarily been into cars before because all they could afford was a Ford Pinto. You know what I mean?
Right. He said a Ford Pinto. Man, I haven't heard that in a long time. The Pinto. Woo. Man. I really enjoy this Forza for when I played it out there at E3, but like just playing it again and then now seeing it on my television. Oh man, it's just breathtaking. It is so colorful. It's so yes, I can't wait. I've already got it pre-ordered, ready to go.
Yeah, it's funny. I canceled my $60 version or whatever $59 version, so I can buy the $100 version.
Nice.
So I called them right afterwards. I gotta cancel it because I'm gonna spend more money with you guys. That's this game. It's pretty awesome. So
and also one thing that they fixed the mistake of what they did with Forza Horizon 3. What they did with this one is that included into this package is their expansion packs 1 and 2. So
is that how they're doing it if you buy the expensive one?
Right. Yeah.
So it's worth it to spend the money if you're one of those guys that gets the expansion packs.
Exactly, because when I was going through it and it showed the details, what they included those in there. What they did last time was, I thought it was a little shady, but I couldn't resist Cocaine Mountain, so I had to get it. So I had to get it. It was so dope. And then of course the Hot Wheels, but they gave you a discount, and a lot of Xbox fans kind of jumped on that and said, "Hey, look, now that's a little shady right there."
Well, you got to be transparent and just make it a little more clear. And that's the thing that's going to hurt games and franchises. If you want to do more content, you want to extend the life of these games that you're producing. That totally makes sense. But you got to make it so it's there, and you're not pulling a decoder ring for the end user. It's really easy for them to figure out. And so when they have these conversations, they're not missed conversations between other gamers, and people just can get into the product, buy the product, and have a good experience from start to finish. Right. And if people want to dip their toe in and not take the risk, I totally get it. And play the game, and then when the additional content comes out, if they want to participate in it, they can participate in it. And I like how Forza structures their additional content. Because let's say you didn't buy, Blizzard Mountain, you didn't buy the Hot Wheels expansion, you're still able to play with your friends. It was just one little area, right? That you couldn't go to, and how that works is pretty awesome. So,
yeah, and then of course they always have some kind of sale, a couple of months later or whatever, so to entice people to get it. So one thing that it does also make me think, they did the right thing in including both the expansions with the $100 version, is that I think that they're going to have maybe 1 or 2 more expansions. It just feels like that's where they'll go to try to make it for like maybe a 1-year anniversary or something, where they might have a third one or a third and a fourth, which
I can see them doing. I wouldn't
see them do that.
I wouldn't place the bets on it though yet.
Mm-hmm.
Just they have to get through their launch first, get the first 2 DLCs. But I mean, I think we keep hearing about Forza Horizon 3 took Microsoft off guard, how well it did. So they're expecting 4 to outdo that and then build on that momentum. So I can see them rethinking some of that structure or adding more to that structure. But yeah, I wouldn't place a bet on it as of right now. So
Right. So yeah, no, so yeah, anybody out there that's race enthusiast, go ahead and cop it, man. I mean, it's one of the best racers that you can buy for sure. It's got plenty of content, and trust me, you'll be playing for hours. Like it's not just people say you kind of do the same things, and yeah, all games have some form of repetitiveness, but like there's so much more that they add to these games, and the more that I see that this map is, because I'm looking at this map again, this world map, this thing is a monster, and also the fact that they're bringing back the boss battles, I love that.
I have one gripe though.
What's that?
Can I get a character without skinny jeans?
Yeah, man. Can we kind of dress up our people? Because you know what I'm saying. Can we make our guys kind of plump? You know what I'm saying. Everybody can be sexy and thin and skinny jeans and everything.
I don't want to be wearing my wife's jeans. Yeah, playing Forza. No,
right. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. And I don't need to be wearing. I mean, come on now. Let some big guys get in those little tight, squeezing the little tight, fancy cars, man. Come on, let's get a big guy.
I don't know if the size of the characters will change, but
yeah, I don't think so either.
I did notice when you win the races, they have the other icons, well, the other racers.
Mm-hmm.
They're right by you. I saw them, some of them dressed differently. So just regular jeans and other stuff. That was just kind of the default thing they did for the demo. But I don't know. I just want a mafia gangster suit to drive around in.
Nice.
That goes.
The Don. All right. You know what I'm saying? Is that what the name of your tag is? Kiss the ring?
No. The Don fits on that license plate perfectly.
Oh yeah. K Mega 45 fits perfectly too. It's great. So.
That's the great thing about being in Europe. Their license plates are longer. So
nice. So all right, let's talk about Tomb Raider. Now, I don't know if you've played Tomb Raider yet, but I have, and I posted, this is probably the most watched clip that I've ever had on Twitter so far. It was like 2,500 people watched it. So it was insane. It looks amazing. It is beautiful on the X. It's crazy how just what HDR does to a game when you have HDR10 on your television, man. It is something special. I mean, I've heard some people that was trying to downplay HDR, but that is a complete game changer. And it's smooth. It plays really well. I've heard people complain about like the guns, of how she holds her gun, or for that third person view of where she holds her guns. It's always been kind of quirky looking like that. I don't ever really give it two thoughts about it, because the game is more for exploration, and the fact I'd rather use my bow and arrow anyway, or pick up something off the ground and make it into a bomb, or into a something like that, but it do some stealth kills. But I get the fact of, if people can have their little legitimate gripes about this and that, but for what I've played so far, the game looks absolutely stunning. What do you think?
Well, this is the game I'm excited about. This is the one I want to play as far as everything goes. So I honestly can't wait. I didn't get the nicer version, so I have to wait until I think Friday for it to drop. So I'm going to be playing it on Friday nonstop. I have the day off, so have some errands to do in the morning, and then I'm just going to plop myself down in front of the television and just play until next podcast on the following day. So yeah, I'm excited to play this game. Been my most anticipated. There's also this kind of build up, right? You've seen the previous two other Tomb Raiders, and this is where I can take the developer hat and just get excited about being a gamer, where you saw kind of the character growth, like the character arc, where they rebooted it, but she's not quite the Lara Croft we used to know.
Right.
And you see it kind of come closer to the Lara Croft used to know on the following one. And this one, you can kind of, you really do see it kind of like all come together, where she's a lot more cold, if that makes any sense.
Definitely.
You have some of the underwater exploring elements. I heard there's a lot more exploring of it.
Yes.
Visually, it definitely looks better than the previous ones. I can see how some people wouldn't pick up on the small bits, but it's all the small bits added together that make up the good game. I've noticed also some weird, stupid controversy I've seen out there about it as well. Game looks good. The there are people complaining about certain animations. There's people complaining about the quality of the settings on particular pieces of hardware versus PC and all sorts of other stuff. But at the end of the day, none of that stuff matters. It's an awesome looking game. It looks fun to play. I can't wait to play it this Friday. So.
Oh yeah, no, it looks like I said, it looks amazing. It plays really well, and the one thing that it always falls back to this for some people is about the the frames per second, other than the compared to the do you care more about the graphics or how the game looks, or do you care more about the performance? And I have to tell you, I don't care about no 60 frames per second mode. The game looks so good and it still runs well. I haven't seen any drops, and I don't really pay attention to all that stuff. I mean, you can know if it's really noticeable, you can, but they keep it at a solid 30 frames per second. There is no drops. From what they say,
you can notice, right?
Yeah, I haven't noticed any drops at all,
regardless of a frame rate counter. Like this goes back to what I've always said about analytics when it comes to games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be looking to them to point out the things that you're not seeing. Like that's the whole point of development. You optimize in a way that you do certain things so you're able to squeeze more power out of something that you don't notice certain things. If you're looking at those ridiculously finite details that someone has to pause the screen, zoom in, that sort of stuff, that's not gaming. That's not what happens on that sort of stuff. And there's a reason why 30 frames per second you're feeling good. Game was developed with 30 frames per second in mind. It was from way they started the development. The encounter distance, the draw distance, the way the character moves, how fast it moves, all that stuff is dictated by, you usually pick frame rate first and you build around that. That's usually always a foundational thing on the development side of things. So the reason why you see on more powerful hardware, or in case PC, is because that's more powerful hardware than they originally intended for the product. So they kind of open some of those gates so people can play around with it. So they get different performance profiles, so it just works on whatever their rig is. And realistically, it's not really optimized on those PC platforms. So that's what you're seeing also on console, is you're always going to see one mode that's really polished out of these performance versus visual modes, right? It may be the higher frame rate mode is more polished. It might be the higher fidelity mode is more polished. But the reality is, one of those is always going to get the attention, and then when they move to more powerful hardware, if they give you the option, it's always one's going to be second fiddle to the other. So with Tomb Raider, it doesn't surprise me. They build the game around 30 frames per second. Doesn't mean you can't add some extra frames. You got to make sure you also build your game in mind. So just in case if you do want to go that route, so the animations don't get screwed up and stuff like that, and the timing on all that sort of stuff. But for those people that want choices, it's there as far as that goes. But I would almost want maybe some of these 60 frames per second mode, or if they even want to do the high fidelity mode, whatever one is kind of their second option that they want to do those options maybe like a month or two down the road to give them a little bit more polish for those people that want those modes, versus just doing them at launch, because I feel like there's always one being suffered versus the other.
Right, yeah, and the one thing about it too is that they said you can, if you wanted to get into the combat and wanted to get into 60 frames mode, you can switch it on the fly. They showed that on that.
So that'll make you restart the game or anything like that?
No. Yeah, you just switch
and that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So, and like I said, it feels, I just recently beat Rise of the Tomb Raider because I played it the day it came out, got I think to like 25%. And it just wasn't as impactful as the first Tomb Raider. And I was like, I don't know. And so I got caught up and The Witcher came out at that time. There were so many games. The Division, Quantum Break came out the following year, Killer Instinct. Like there was just so many other games that came out right in during that time when I took what I said, I'm going to take a break on Tomb Raider. And then I just come to find out like, whoa, the new Tomb Raider is coming. I got to jump back on this and beat it. And then once I got back onto it and then got towards the middle of the game, then that's when Rise of the Tomb Raider really kicked off.
That's what it picks up. Like it has a really slow build up at the beginning.
Right. The very beginning of the Rise of Tomb Raider was really good for the setup of being out there, but then it got to this standstill for me, and I was like, oh man, okay, you know, and it kind of felt like I was kind of dragging through it, like you said, and then it just, I was like, oh, then I start playing other things else. But then once you got out of the whole Russia's part, what the Russia camp or whatever, and then I did that DLC of the Alibaba or Baba whatever our damn name is.
Yeah, I haven't played that part.
That is it. That's intense. That is dope. You got
people say that DLC is really good on that.
It's amazing, and so then it got me back to start like, okay, let me go ahead, and then I just kept playing it until I beat it, and then it really picked up after that. So yeah, it was good. So already from the start of what this game is doing, it's already hot. Like it's already letting you know what's going down with Trinity. It's got a twist to it. It's like, whoa, like it's really basing the, like, what is Lara Croft? Like, is Lara Croft really this good person, or is she not? It's really got a really good premise to it so far.
I heard the underwater areas are really tense.
Yes. Now there was I've only done, like I said, I played maybe 2-3 hours so far, and so I'm in Peru right now, and I'm encountered that damn jaguar. Which is not really pretty, because I cut it off after that. I was like, man, I'm too tired to really mess with this thing, so I'm gonna have to mess with it when I start it up again. But yeah, like no, like the I could just imagine what the water is going to be like, because once you were in one area in Mexico, you know, you had all that little stuff down there. I could just imagine how crazy it's going to be out there, because they have all different types of wildlife. Like there was these big ass monkeys that was out there.
Yeah, I was in the party when you're freaking out about Bubbles.
yeah, I was like, Bubbles is big, Jack. I wasn't trying to get nowhere near. No, man, no, Jack. We ain't doing that. I pulled out I didn't have no strap either. But it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun so far, and it just seems like it's just it's going to be really good. It's going to be a good ending to that chapter. So I can't wait to finish this game off.
It kind of bums me that it's not really getting the fair shake in the reviews. And like, you know, honestly, if you're a gamer, you shouldn't be buying based on reviews. You should be buying what you're interested in. But I do know that it can and will affect sales, and I saw some, I would say, unfair reviews of it, and I'm just like, man, they're entitled to their opinion, but we got to come up with a better system than what Metacritic's doing right now. That's something I've noticed. So,
yeah, it's man, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if you are one of those people that base your game of how you buy a game because of a Metacritic score, then I feel sorry for you, because you're missing out on a lot of good games.
Well, there's a lot of average gamers that are like that. You know, so they just want some score, some aggregate score, and they're just like, it's not this, I'm not going to buy it. Or they hear what the echo chamber is saying. My thing is this, like, I really feel like the Metacritic score should be a bell curve on its average, right? So I don't know what the percentage you drop off the top and the bottom were, right? But there are sites out there that intentionally give either a high score or a lower score for attention. They totally do it. I think they'll never admit it, but I mean, that's the impression that we all kind of get if you start digging into it. And there will come a time where maybe Sony is not the popular thing, or an Xbox maybe the more popular thing, or PC, or whatever it may be. You don't want bias playing into that, and you don't really want, regardless of what platform it is, and you don't want that weighing into it, but you also don't want these people that are just seeking attention that throw off the score as well. And I would imagine if you drop a certain percentage off the top and the bottom, and you still did the average, I think you would get a much more accurate representation of what the general populace would think about that game, is the way I kind of look at it. You don't get rid of those high or low scores, because obviously they do it for attention. But it almost kind of makes you think twice before you review something. If that makes any sense, like it kind of it's like a check and balance type thing, you know. And I'm not saying I have all the answers or anything like that, but that's kind of what I would see, because you know I know developers, you know, their bonuses sometimes are depending on what contract they signed and all that sort of stuff, based on Metacritic sometimes and a certain number of sales and all that sort of stuff, and it does move units. There is something to be said there. So
yeah, and so to your one point about Tomb Raider and maybe not hitting its sales numbers or whatever because of the bias, because of Metacritic scores, or just, you know, reviewers that that just, I don't know, for whatever reason may seem that they're more slated to one side of this console war than the other or whatever. But it's to me, it's just like the best way for me to look and see about a game, to understand what the fan base think about a game, or how the game, to want to know what gamers think about the game, is when, like on Xbox, when you go and you look at a particular game that's already out, right? And you, before you buy it, you can go and you can look at the reviews. It's just like if you was on Windows, or if you one of the best systems is on Steam. Steam has people that gives, you know, somebody's going to write like a 3-4 paragraph essay and let you know the good, the bad. They really have played that game, and they're giving out they're pouring out their heart and soul for free, basically, not for clicks, and to let you know how they feel about those games. I think Steam does it absolutely right. Xbox is in the right direction by showing the reviews of some of those games, and you kind of see right there.
What's weird about public reviews, right, is you always get, like, they get caught in the crossfire of the extreme fan base as well. In the populace, there's people that log on to Metacritic just because it's on one platform, they'll give it a 0. You see it all the time, anywhere from 3 to a 0.
Right.
I mean, come on, that's like the game crashes when you boot it up. Like, let's call it that.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then you have some people that try to offset that, and their bias plays into, and they're not necessarily looking at it objectively. I mean, Cedric in the chat, I mean, he points out GameSpot. Not just GameSpot, PC World also gave it, a similar score. Gave it a 60 or 6 out of 10. And they're entitled to their opinion. What I don't want to be is in a situation where we're policing people where they can't give their opinion. I think that's a bad thing. But if you're just way outside of the fringes, maybe your opinion doesn't count all that much. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, that makes a lot of sense.
On the average, and especially when there's certain things that could be motivators. I mean, everyone's going to deny that is a motivator. But let's be honest. I mean, those people make a living on the number of clicks their articles get. And if you're not pulling a certain weight at any job, then they're going to look at your employment in a slightly different fashion. And, if you're costing company more money than you're bringing in, it's simple facts. And so some of those people are just motivated by that. So, but they're also entitled to their own opinion. So it's a tricky subject. I just don't. My thing is, if we did a bell curve average, and it cuts up some of the top and the bottoms of the outliers that are trying to do it, you would get, I think, a more accurate representation I think we can find a little bit more common ground as gamers. So,
right. I mean, that to me, I think is increased what's going on now is this whole Metacritic score. Never even heard about it. Never cared to know anything about it. I mean, I've picked up some duds back in the days, and you take it back or you trade it or you just have to eat it and just keep that game. But it's not every game from one particular side, and it doesn't matter because you have the fringe on the Xbox side too. That's always dogging out.
Yeah, it's on both sides.
Yeah, it's definitely on both sides. Well, it's on all facets. I mean, you got.
And what's popular this generation can totally change next generation.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is, it's a universal thing. It applies to multiplats. It applies to exclusives of all platforms.
Right.
And I think some gamers are just tired of the bullshit.
I know I am. I know I am. I mean, it's like, people can project, me as being this type of way, but it's like, the more I step away from from just people just trying to make it like, oh, this is what you do. No, I mean, if I throw a little fun, I don't mind talking a little trash, having a little fun. But at the end of the day, I put just as much of support into my PlayStation as I do into my Xbox when it comes to just, for buying games. I mean, now I don't have as many games on my PlayStation as I have for my Xbox, but I do buy games on my PlayStation. And and I play my PlayStation and I enjoy my PlayStation. It's more, what I'm saying, and when I get to Switch, I'm going to enjoy that. For my older consoles that I played before that, I've enjoyed those.
As you should. If you spend the money on a piece of hardware, you should enjoy it.
If I hate something, I'm not going to buy it. That's what I'm saying. It's just common sense. It's just
and that's not even like a bias thing. That's just like, hey, you work hard for your money. I mean, it's the reason why we don't do Devin the Gamer all the time. And you want to make sure when you work hard for your money that you work hard, you play hard, right? And that's how it should be. So yeah, it is one of those things that kind of I feel like the game gets a little bit slighted, but at the same token, I don't want to censor people from being able to say their word. I mean, and it scored lower on the PlayStation side of things, because they had a different review for Xbox copy versus the PlayStation copy. PlayStation copy is not, I mean, it's not the same graphical experience as what you're getting out of the X, but it's not bad. The number doesn't reflect what it should in regards to that. So unless there was like obvious glitches or bugs on one particular platform and not the other, then maybe, it should be pointed out and get a lower score, but that's not the case. So this is me, saying that in regards to PlayStation in both Xboxes, like these games are not getting a fair shake in regards to that. It's just not, I don't know. I just don't find it okay. I think there are people who are profiting off other people's hard work just for a little bit of attention. And ultimately the people that get hurt the most is the gamers. And so, I want gamers to find games that they're going to enjoy and enjoy those. And so it's one of those things I think we need to come together. It's just one little idea, but I mean, if you guys got better ideas, I'm always open to it. So
yeah, no doubt about it. It's like, I mean, I'm not too difficult to reach. I mean, you can hit me up on Xbox. I don't really, the one thing what I will say is that when I play on my PlayStation, it's peaceful because I don't talk to nobody.
I don't have
nobody.
I'll be honest. I don't have
a few friends
on PlayStation. I just play my single player games on it, and then I turn it off. That's all I do on that platform.
Yeah, no, I don't talk to anybody there. So it's just like a sanctuary. Just if you want to just game there and not do anything, that's fine for me. And I'm not saying for others, but for me. And yes, Cedric H, I did see Samurai Spirits. It looks fantastic.
What's that?
It's you remember the old Samurai Showdown games?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it looks like this is going to be a PlayStation exclusive. I'm not understanding why Xbox are not getting these fighters. It frustrates the shit out of me, but maybe it will be one of those things to where Xbox will eventually get them over time, maybe in about a year. Maybe it's like a year exclusivity deal or something, but it looks really good. It has the it kind of reminds me of the animations of looking like kind of like Street Fighter V's graphics. It's 3D, but it's a 2D fighter, and it looks really good. Now they didn't show.
So it's a 3D cell shaded game.
Yeah. Well, it's not that. It's not shell shaded so much. It's I don't know what you would call what Street Fighter V's graphics is. I mean, if that's shell shaded, it's
cell shaded, but it's highly it's very stylized.
Okay, it's real stylized. Yeah, and it looks really good. I mean, I wouldn't say it's top notch Street Fighter V graphically, but it's on that same level.
I see. I'm looking at it right now. I see what they did there.
It looks good, and I'm like, man, can this come here? Because I'm still salty to this day. The Guilty Gear XR 1 and 2 is not on the Xbox. Now I don't know why they don't have no deal with that, but that is a quality fighter. Love it to death. Or a battle tag team, the game that has all those fighters from Persona and Blaze Blue and Ruby. I mean, like we got the Ruby game, we got a Blaze Blue game. We also even got the Persona 4 fighting game, the 360 compatible game. I got that game. So it's like, why Xbox don't have it? I don't know. So those are the things, like those are the criticisms that are warranted for Xbox. All this other stuff where Xbox got no games, that's the most stupidest shit I've ever heard. When I play games every day on this thing.
I could take 2 months off from work and just play games, and I still won't be caught up on my backlog.
Exactly. Thank you. I
mean, that's just a harsh reality. Like, you know what Xbox should do? It should just lean into it and say, we got games. That's how they should finish each splash screen, and just call it that. Every time they advertise, and just go that way. And I know some people are pissed off about that, but it's setting the record straight. They do have games, and there's some games that are exclusive to each platform. And I think Sony should celebrate this game. I like the old Samurai Showdown, and if it's on their platform, they should celebrate it. They should preach what they got, because that's a classic. So
yeah, no, it is classic, and I mean, we're talking about Samurai Showdown. This has been a multi-plat forever. So, and I mean, in Melina in the chat, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it could be PlayStation money. You know, just the draw. You know, PlayStation is got a lot of. That's one thing I think a lot of gamers don't really particularly think about, is that how deep rooted Sony has been in the gaming world for all these years, and so they have a lot of good fellows that they can just, you know, have a negotiation before even Xbox even
comes to the
doors.
It doesn't look like an exclusive deal from what I can see here. It looks like it's more of a exclusive out of convenience.
Okay,
does that make sense? So
that can make sense. Right.
And I would imagine this is probably a smaller team as well. So
true.
So, you know, let them focus on one platform, and then when it comes to the other one, just spend the proper time to do it right.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, like I said, I mean, I know that there's, you know, Phil gets a lot of criticisms. I think mostly unwarranted, but the fact of it is that, like, until they fix these issues, then that's one of those things that has to. I mean, that's going to be gnawed on the side, because it's there right in your face. Like, I mean, you see these particular games that you like Fist of the North Star. Now that would be definitely like a PlayStation game, you know, and you wouldn't see that normally on an Xbox, or you might see that more on the Nintendo than you would on Xbox. But if you want to broaden the horizon for the Xbox brand, those type of games have to seep in. Not all of them, but a few. And that's why I was happy about One Piece coming. That's why I paid the $90 package for it. And then, yes, the story was absolutely trash, but the game itself, when you've played it, it was fun. You know, it's just that it died. You know, the online died as quickly as it started. That's why another thing, like, we're gonna have to talk about one day, not tonight, but about crossplay and how that affects.
Crossplay has to be a thing. Like, that's what preserves games like that. I think
exactly.
People are, like, sometimes indifferent about it until their favorite game you can't find people to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And so if someone that doesn't really look at games, what's the most recent in the last 3 months, and I'm playing that, I'm only playing that, and I don't go back to anything else, or, you know, a fighter is something you sprinkle in within your gaming sessions, right? It's kind of, you can do 2 or 3 fights and hop out, right? And so, you know, that's essential. I mean, I guarantee you're going to start hearing a lot more arguments for crossplay if for example, Destiny's user base drops even more. I mean, they dropped over 500,000 since the last time we talked about it on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I was like, I didn't see our boy Bot say anything about that. But.
Well, that's the thing, is it could go up and down because it's, you know, weekend versus weekday. Like, you have to take those variables, and I don't know
games.
When they look at PvP versus cooperative play, they're counting those numbers separately. But my question is, how much is that? Is that totally separate players? Or is that same player also dipping into both? So that number can be smaller than we think it is. I just keep giving it the credit of being bigger, just for argument's sake, in regards to that. So, I mean, it's, you know, what happens when that game drops down to, say, 1 million? Does it become harder to get into games with other people? Does that world start feeling dead? I mean,
yeah, it's a question. Destiny is a weird animal. I don't.
Yeah, it is.
You know, their hardcore gamer core is a different. They're different, and you know what I'm saying. Some of them are inviting. A lot of them aren't. You know, it's just a weird, you know, kind of like university or
that's
that's
always been a Bungie problem, though.
Right.
If you think about it, like, Bungie's always had this issue where they create content that people love and they get excited about and they praise them for it. And then when they create different content, say a sequel or in the case of a Destiny, an add-on, the community just splinters. They don't hold together. They don't gel. In regards to that, there's still forums that people argue about Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 3, which multiplayer is the best. Right. And those are all Bungie titles. I left the 343 titles out of the equation because, you know, different studio. And you have those same sort of arguments with each DLC. So, like, when they introduced, for example, Destiny 2, they got a whole new player base that kind of added to it. And then it filtered out to what you're at right now at the Forsaken, where I would say everyone that I played Destiny 1 through and did multiple different types of raids at different difficulty levels, not a single one of those people is currently playing Destiny 2. All the people I do know, which is a small number, which doesn't represent all, they're all new people to Destiny, or they're late adopters and from Destiny 1. So, like, they have this weird splintering issue, and I have the same sort of community issues that you've had there, Mega, you know, in different ways, but basically it just hasn't been inviting. There wasn't a community, there wasn't people getting together to have a good time, and in regards to that, it's almost like that greedy kind of got to get the loot sort of thing, to the point where, like, it's about me first, let alone someone else, but you're essential to help me get this loot, so therefore I'm going to include certain select people. It's just kind of how my impression of the game has kind of grown into. So
and it's just weird. But
when you got Anthem, Anthem's going to probably bite into that, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Anthem's going to be bigger or not. I don't know that, but it's going to affect that user base, because we're going to be another 4 or 5 months out when Anthem hits. Anthem is going to be probably the new hot game that people are curious about. Even people that are kind of dogging on it, they're still curious. They're probably going to try it. So they have the ability to win some of that audience over. So you have the natural petering out of Forsaken, and then you have another game that competes in that same space. You know, if I was a Destiny player, I would want crossplay. 100% want crossplay.
Absolutely.
You know, if I was in bot's position, 100% want crossplay. It would keep it alive. So I mean, crossplay is essential. I mean, if you're not on board, you're going to be left behind. It's going to be the next really innovation within the industry. So
right. It's just one of those things that, I don't know, it just baffles me. But somebody was in the chat was talking about the Xbox needs to, Phil needs to talk and work on making the Japanese game. It is one. I'm looking for the name of it. It looks really weird. It looks cool. But it's I couldn't tell you the name of the game. If I find it, I'll put it in the links in the description later on. But it looked really wild. It had a Persona look. It had that shell shade look, that style. It's from this Japanese company. It's from a Japanese novel.
Kind of like that bloody knuckle fist that I did for Lux. That's where this logo I worked on behind the scenes. It's a lot like that, right?
Right, yeah. It's really crazy. It's because at first I thought, is this Persona coming to the Xbox? But it wasn't. It was a completely different game. And they showed it. It was about 2 months ago when they showed the little clip of it, and it's supposed to be it's in the works right now, and it's supposed to come to the Xbox here in the next year or two. So it's like I said, when I find out the name again, I wish Bloody Knuckle was around, because he would know exactly what game it's on, because we both talked about it. But it looks dope. But it's an RPG. It's a Japanese RPG, so it's made from a Japanese developer. So Phil is out there doing the work. It's just that it's these things take time, and you know, and then some gamers are just not patient enough.
And I don't blame those gamers buying a PlayStation if that's the case. I mean, that's something they've earned. You know, that's what PlayStation has earned from working hard, earning that studio's trust. And it's on their platform, and it sucks to say, but you know, if that's the game you're interested in, I don't blame you for buying a PlayStation for that. Like I totally get it.
No, I totally get it too. I totally
you know,
get it too. And also Phil's going to be in TGS. So that's going to be really
when is TGS?
Next week.
Is it next week?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, look, let me see. I mean, I get you, Zinc. I mean, I understand. Look, I get it that some people have this thought that Japanese games there aren't there. And no, there are some that are really harsh. They're bad. They're not very good. But there's a group of gamers out there that would like to have that, because if they were fans of the 360 and even the OG Xbox, there were a good amount of Japanese games, especially on the 360. There was a lot of Japanese games.
That can also be said about US games too as well. US games don't always appeal to all markets.
Right.
There's certain ones that just simply don't. Like first-person shooters don't do well in Japan, in general. So, you know, it goes both ways, and not all American games are good. Not all indie games are good. Not all AAA games are good.
Right.
So, I mean, there's always going to be a variety of that. But, you know, I'm a big believer in the free market. If you can get games on your platform and let the gamers decide, ultimately their decision honestly matters. So, yeah, what's up, Xbot?
Is he here? Oh, what's going on, people? Look at that. Look at that.
You can always join if you wanted to.
Oh, well, we're going to get on our last little point, though. So
then that will take forever then. Because you'll have to do intros and...
Yeah, what's going on, people? And you know how the outro is.
And then there's going to be animations.
And then we got to show gameplay.
And then there's going to be voting.
Right. So, and I'll win again. So here we go.
Actually, we're complaining about all the things that Xbox makes great about next podcast.
I know. So check out the next podcast, man. Saturday. It's what, like 6 o'clock Central Time for me.
I don't know. Like I just wait for the text.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like, I think it's 6 o'clock. But anyway, last part. Let's talk about this AMD thing right here. Like, I posted something on and by the way, I do have a GRG podcast Facebook group. So if you guys want to check it out, I'm gonna put that in the link in the description too. So if you guys want to jump and join us, man, that would be great. You know, there it ain't gonna be none of that weirdo shit. So don't even think about it. There's plenty of administrators there that will make sure that if you got any crazy stuff, you'll be booted, man. We're talking about games, you talk about anime, you talk about movies. But it's just mostly a gameplay, talk about gaming and you know, have a good discussion about different stuff or whatever. But you know, it just started this week, so it's still fairly new. But yeah, man, you can stop by. But it's the GRG podcast group, man, and you know, would like you to come by and hang out with us. So anyway, I put this video up, and it was basically talking about AMD and how their shares was going up. But what was the main reason why I wanted to talk about it tonight is because the president of AMD, she said that she was working on both the PlayStation and the Xbox, and basically she went into this speech of how, like, you know, her AMD and Microsoft, they're really good partners. It's their number one partner. They're working on streaming and all of this.
So she clarified they're working on both.
Right.
Hardware and their streaming services and solutions for that. And I think on the PlayStation.
For Xbox, streaming for Xbox. But she said both. I want to clarify that because people automatically will just run with one or the other. So she's talking about hardware and streaming solutions. Right. So basically, she's working on both, and so she said the strategies, and we're working on both consoles to where they have their own strategies. So they're in their own secret sauce. So of course they're going two different directions. But she was mostly aiming about the streaming services with Microsoft and not with Sony. Now, the thing of it is to me is that, look, I think we always think of, well, they're going to get into the streaming service game just like Microsoft and everybody else because it's just a part of the future. Now, they still could, but for her not to address it like she was being so adamant with Microsoft, it's tending to me that the PlayStation is still going to kind of stay like they were or like they have been and stay traditional. And while Xbox is like, hey, look, we're doing it all. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, the question is AMD the solution for their streaming services? Because I don't believe Sony's stopped, right?
Right.
You know, Xbox believes that, you know, this is clarified, he believes streaming is going to take it over, and that's what the whole entire industry wants to do. I have a much different stance. I think it's going to be shared. I think there's a different type of customer for streaming like there is a different type of customer for a PC or a console gamer. And there's going to be advantages to each one of those in regards to that. And so it's going to gravitate towards different people, and it's all about growing that pie. And that's the only way they're going to get there is not by ditching one or the other. It's by including all. And streaming, you don't make as much money on streaming. As simple as that. So you make more money on local hardware. You don't make money on the local hardware, but you make more money per sell because the upfront cost of development's already been done. The sheer volume of hardware that hits the market, that kind of pays for itself. So that's how you break even, and then you start ranking in on the games. The problem with streaming is it's more expensive to render things in the cloud because you have to do what they call predictive rendering and stuff like that. So that means you have to have much more substantial hardware per person logged in than, say, something local under your box to get that latency down and kind of narrow that number down to what local hardware can do. It'll never get there. It'll always be a latency difference. These are just hard realities in regards to that. However, there's money to be made there. Investing in AMD or NVIDIA, they're all investing in these newer technologies. So anytime the chips have shrunken and the technology gets better, you're able to expand that technology, anything from server farms all the way down to, say, your cell phone and everything in between, right? So what happens is if they have AMD has a good solution for Azure servers and stuff like that, they're able to get more computing power in less space, less of a heating bill, more air conditioning. These things all help that, so they can squeeze more out of that lemon as far as streaming services go and go from there. That's kind of how all that works. The question is Sony using AMD as a solution for that? They could go the NVIDIA route. And I know they've been collecting on PlayStation Now. The question is, are they reinvesting on their network side of things? And we don't know what's going on there. I don't look at the financials. I don't know what's going on. You know, I know they rent a lot from basically usually Amazon or Google. I think most of the time it's from Amazon in regards to that. So it's interesting to see where they're going from that. It is incredibly expensive to do streaming. There can be money to be made there, but you have to spend a lot to get a little bit in return and, you know, get past that break-even point. So,
right. So, I mean, that could be one other factor of why PlayStation it may not go that route. They probably already seen the writing in the wall with what they have with PlayStation Now. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs. I mean, there's somebody. It was kind of funny because somebody brought up a video that I did 3 years ago, 3 years and a month ago, and then they tried to use it against me of saying some stupid stuff, whatever. But I kind of forgot that point. But what I remember what it was saying, because I was listening to that video, we were talking about. Well, I was talking about the predictions about the Neo and how then from what reports were was that developers was going to have a hard time for making games for both because because the Neo was supposed to be this system that was supposed to be significantly more powerful. And that, you know, devs was like, well, we can't make games for both. So basically you're alienating one group for another. And then again, we started hearing kind of like the same thing with the Scorpio once they start talking about that, but it was really hardcore about the Neo. And that's what that video was about. And so now it's kind of like, you know, listening to we're bringing up stuff that we don't know really what's going on, what these companies are really going to do yet. And so I don't want to over speculate, but I mean, it's kind of fun though, too.
I know how cloud services work. I know all the technical aspects of the things. That's why I say it's, the economics are different. They're not necessarily you make more money per user. It's done over a volume. That's how they're able to do it in regards to that. So now, would they rather have that larger volume on local hardware? Probably would. So that's why I say they'll never remove one for the other. I think people kind of think in those terms. It's either hot or cold, and that's something that's just not going to happen. Matter of fact, I think the actual box that you mostly playing 99.9% of your stuff locally. I think that it's going to be a little bit more of the ray tracing stuff that we're hearing about now.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be run on. This is where my speculation jumps in, and I hope this is the case. I don't think they're going to do the specific components to make up what allows you to do ray tracing in real time on local hardware. I don't think they're going to do that. That's something that actually would be better off for cloud compute, because anything that's AI based, we have a real restriction of what we can put in a box. But AI instruction sets sent to a server farm, you don't have that same sort of restriction, and those latency sort of things are not as big of a deal. So you're able to get much quicker reactions. Now, rendering something on a GPU remotely and then having it stream there, that's not efficient at all. As a matter of fact, it's one of the most inefficient ways to do that. But on CPU related sort of tasks, that it's honestly much better done on the server. So you can imagine with DX12 being an extension, being part of these engines, everything being built into the API. Basically, the developer would, the ideal world, I think what Microsoft's doing is you just have to develop your game for this API. You have this different performance profiles for, say, three different types of local hardware that's under your television. And then the API will handle the other stuff remotely on its own automatically for streaming related services. So the developer doesn't have to do anything in regards to that. And that's just part of the platform. It just reaches a different audience. I think that's what Microsoft's envisioning. That's the reason why they've been going towards this route for a while now. And I think that's why Phil's in the, is in the seat that he's in, is because of that.
No, I totally agree. I mean, if anybody goes back to thinking about what, Don Matrick did greenlight the Xbox One X, but it was a totally different machine from his vision compared to what Phil's vision was. Phil was the one that made the Xbox One X what it is today, with the 4K, with making it the most powerful console. He was like, if you're going to make this, you got to go balls to the wall.
Leadership's always a baton, right? Right. And so, the final specs were never decided there. There was just something like, and Sony came to the same conclusion as well. And you guys got to keep this in mind, is that was the hardware that was available at the time, the price point that made sense. People always say, like, hey, they cheaped out on the hardware. No, that's what was available, guys. Right. And they delayed the release of those consoles by a couple years to get that hardware at the price that they got it at. So they're realistically, they wanted to probably, I'm sure if they could have waited longer, they would have. But they kind of went into, it's like, well, the only way to do it to get where we really want to be is that next iteration. And so that's why all that stuff got pre-approved on the Don Matrick side. And then realistically, there's a certain point, when you develop a product, you do make decisions as you go, and you decide when you're going to release something and based upon what hardware is going to be available. And somewhere along the lines, they decided to go with 4K because they saw where televisions were going. They got on board with HDR. They help with HDR10 standards. They've done a lot of things to give you guys better visuals, and that's where we're here today. So.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so before we go, I do want to ask you this. Now, if you was a betting man, do you think the PlayStation is going to go backwards compatible? Or what would be the bet on that? Like, okay, let's just say that we'll just say, would you think
backwards compatible? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'm gonna, and this is me guessing. Like,
How far back though? How far back? Just
last gen.
Yeah, last gen. Okay.
Just 4. Theoretically they could do it with a more powerful CPU once readily available for the PlayStation 3. But it's hard to emulate that sort of thing, and they may not see the worthment of the investment on that return. So I think that's going to motivate a lot of that. So, yeah, they're going back compatible. What I don't know if they're going forwards compatible. That's the question mark with those guys.
That's the question mark, right? That's the big cookie right there. That's to see if the big cookie's in the jar. When you reach down in it and you see you get the big cookie, or you reach down there and you get nothing.
You get the crumbs.
You get the crumbs. So anyway, but all right, we man, what time is it? It's 11:03 my time. So I know you are pretty exhausted, tired of talking.
Tired of talking. I want to play more games though.
I know. Let's go. Let's get with it. So go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you at. And yeah, man, welcome back.
Yeah, the best way to find me is on Twitter, which is @thedon_KTR. Same thing for my gamer tag, just no underscore, just a space. Feel free to hit the like button, hit the dislike button, hit the share button. I think you even subscribe, but I don't know if that does anything anymore. So hit the bell as well. I don't know. It's so complicated. Just click on all the things down below, and you'll be able to see one next time we do this. So
yes, indeed. Yeah, man. Go ahead and support my man, the Don. He comes on also the next podcast, man. You got to give a shout out to Xbox now. So yeah,
definitely for sure.
Yeah, so make sure you check him out there. And only thing I do ask you guys to do is not to vote for his trash ass gameplay. So other than that,
wait, didn't you win last week?
I did win. So
you don't have to do gameplay this week?
No, I don't.
Oh, gotcha.
So most likely, crap is gonna ask everybody to vote for you again. So
why do you guys keep thinking that?
Because he does. I see it every time you do it. He crap is over. You got a fan base. All right, let's vote for Don. And I'm like, what is this?
Listen,
I gotta get me some. I probably gotta hit up Mooch and get some Mooch.
Listen, I appreciate crap in his followers. They're good people. Anything with Mooch and his followers, they're good people.
Salt of the earth, right?
Yeah, it's exactly. So I mean, when you do games, and it's all about. Sometimes it's about how you play it, not necessarily the game.
Oh, listen to that. Xbox over here throwing shade. He says that means gameplay will be on time. You know what, Bot? You know what? Why are you not in bed right now? Normally, your ass would be in bed right now.
He's probably waiting for a patch for Destiny right now.
He probably right. He's probably waiting for a patch on Destiny, or he's over here waiting for Snaps to come back from peddling cookies.
She works late though, so I can't blame him for staying up. Like, it's the only time he gets to see his girl. So
okay. So we'll give you a pass on that, Buster. Anyway, so thank you guys for hanging out with you. Of course, this is K Mega 405, man. Hit that like button if you like what you've heard. Definitely subscribe to the channel. We will definitely be doing this more. We won't be taking a 4-month hiatus, but these things take time. We also have other ideas that we want to do with the show, so look forward to that.
Yeah, so. Look at the Dev and the Gamer as the testing grounds for things we're probably going to be doing on GRG later, because I think we're a little more patient with one another when it comes down to that stuff.
Right. Yeah. We're a lot more patient. When you start seeing things coming here, it will be definitely moving over to GRG. So, and also don't forget to check out the GRG podcast every Friday night at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, and I think it's 6:30 Pacific. I don't know. I don't care. Central time is the best time. You know what I'm saying? East Coast, West Coast, even though I think the more people that listen to the show is from the West Coast, I think. So regardless.
I think it's either coast. I mean, that's where the more dense populations are.
True. So anyway.
Shout out to everyone on the East Coast, man. Be safe.
Yeah, for real, man.
I saw that satellite picture. They ain't no joke.
Yeah, man. Everybody be safe, man. Go into a cubby hole, man. Get the hell out of there if you got to, man. Just don't stick around. Try to think that you're from Daybreak or something and get a surfboard and want to go hop on one of them damn things. So, so just everybody be careful and
don't be trying to start no bubblegum shrimp company out there. And I'm just saying that.
Snap.
Don't be doing that stuff. Hey, right.
All right, man. Well, everybody have a good one, man. We about to play a couple of games before we got to take our ass to bed and go to work in the morning. But thank you for hanging out with us. You have a good night. Peace, everybody.